So take it away, Dave and Mickey.
Hey everyone, thanks Nighthawk. Guess what? This is the 3rd of November. I mean, how did that happen, Mickey? Hey, I'm Dave.
And I'm Mickey.
That's so true. He is. And this is Shiny Side Out, broadcasting from Australia for Revolution Radio on revolution.radio. That's the website name. And that's where where you can find fresh ideas in the chat room. You can buy some merchandise or donate if you like anything we say. That's donate to the station. You can also donate to Mickey and I. If you're watching us on YouTube, do like, share, subscribe and comment to help us with the algo. That's what I've heard it's called now. Look at me keeping up with lingo. And there's also a Patreon link there for us. No one ever does it, so you could be the first. Be the first. And we'll put your name up there in bold. I don't even have a full screen just for the first person. Anyway, join us in the chat room. That's where we are right now, and you can talk to us while we're on air. Mickey, this is show number, drum roll, 660.
Is it? 0, 60, and 600.
Very nice. Did you know you can tune in to us online on your smart device directly via an app, or listen at home on a Grace tabletop digital radio? If you're watching this on YouTube in the future, then you can actually go to the website, Revolution Radio, revolution.radio it's called, and there's a link there to listen online. So you can do that. If you miss Solaris' show, great show as usual, always a great show, great host, great guest, fabulous. From top to bottom, jump in the archives because it's free. You can just go in there and download host shows, other shows, and it's in MP3 format. Remember those things, Mickey? MP3s? Crickets. So
That's
can.
Stone Age, brother. I had to dig myself out of the hole that you put me in with MP3s. Seriously? What? How about a Newton? Did you ever have a Newton? Now let's talk about Newtons. Or how about a PDA? Yeah, but without the ability to call anyone. That's interesting.
And it was 1.5 inches thick. I remember. Yeah. Yeah, that fit in your pocket. Not, right?
I have cargo pants, everything.
That was a great era. See, what you need to do, if you're in fashion, you need to keep up with the trends of this technology. I see a lot of people, Mickey, walking around with a mobile phone sticking up out of their rear pocket, which is actually really bad. You shouldn't put your phone in your rear pocket in your jeans, because when you sit down, you have a likelihood of bending the device. But each their own. It's only your $3,500. Who cares? So if you can, the front pockets are better, not in jeans. And if you have a jacket, much better in those pockets. Or in a bag. Carry your phone in a bag and have a Bluetooth, some kind of thing, right? As we all are paranoid, probably rightly so, of the amount of EM, electromagnetic radiation we're receiving from it all. Anyway, Mickey, I'm broadcasting out of Darkinjung country.
I am, of course, in the direct country. Quite warm.
Yeah, no, it's 31 degrees up here today.
35 here.
35? That's Darwin's temperature today, you know?
I know, brother. It's what happens when you're 30 kilometers from the coast.
30 k's. Yeah, that takes me back. So, Darwin, for instance, they used to only go down, they dip as low as about 29 degrees and go up to about 32, 33 degrees in summer. And it was either wet or it was dry. And they had a wet season, which is summer, and a dry season, which is winter. That was it. And now they're at 35 degrees. They must be into their second case of beer already today. So, Mickey and I, we acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land from which we broadcast. Now, Mickey, Straight off the top. Is going to go straight into it. Firstly, a terrible story about the floods in Spain. Terrible. It's awful. I think the current news is saying 211 they didn't get through it. Yeah, 211 have passed away.
Yeah, correct.
Underground car parks are just completely filled, greater than the street level. Yeah.
Okay, can I? Yeah, look, I just want to say something here. Look, a car is a nice thing. I like my car. It's taking me from A to B. But if I'm not there, then the car can't take me anywhere. Okay, so if you're in a situation where flooding is happening, right? And think about this for a second. Underground car park is underground.
That's right.
And if flooding happens above ground, so this is water that is higher than the ground level already.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the last place you should go is anywhere lower than that.
Wow.
Don't worry about your car. I mean, seriously. You're right, though, Dave. Hundreds of people got trapped inside their cars, and eventually, they drowned. That's just
people.
Because it was so fast too. It was
yes,
so fast.
Yeah, so fast. So people in ground floor buildings. So on the first, ground floor, that's what we call it here. Ground floor is the bottom floor that's level with the ground, and some people call it level 0, which is weird. But anyway, it exceeded that ground floor, and in some cases the first floor as well. And yeah, look, it is a tragedy. I'm not going to lie. It's awful that there isn't enough warning. I sound like the movie Twister, but there isn't enough warning in some cases, or enough ears to hear the message. So it means that the message isn't getting across to the people that it needs to.
Yes.
And I think we have to start living with this. The argument I'll give to you, the argument that I pose to everybody is, it's okay to have a deep underground, military base, but how are you going to deal with the flood unless it's 100% sealed? If you were in the air or up high, that's probably good. Yeah. I just think about underground car parks, underground railway stations. There was one in Serbia that had a flood last week, and people in there were trapped, and they couldn't escape because the water cascading into it was more than a person could resist. Just awful. Back to you, Mackie, in the studio.
People underestimate the power of water. It's fair enough, and I know why it happens, because not very many of us are necessarily coming in contact with large bodies of water all the time. You just have to go to the ocean side on a rough day and try to stand as the waves come crushing in. Good luck to you. Okay. And this is the thing. Water is relentless, so don't underestimate the power of water. It is incredible. But the two things I need to say here. One is, this is as good as it's going to get. This is we're it's not going to get any better from here on in. So these events are not going to disappear, because there's no will to make any changes. And to be clear, I still am dubious as to whether or not us stopping all carbon emissions, would in fact make any difference to this climate change. Because climate change is a real thing. It has happened over the past of our planet thousands of times. I mean, it's normal. It's a normal thing. And there's also the polarity of the poles reverse themselves. And so the Earth is a dynamic. It's not a static environment. The Earth is dynamic. Things happen all the time. Now, what we're seeing here is that a lot of things are pointing that we're coming into a major shift. I think it's the Mid-Atlantic current or the North Atlantic current. It's one of the currents of the Atlantic that keeps Europe warm, that is in danger of shutting down.
That's right.
There was a report recently. If that happens, Europe will enter, like a mini ice age, if you will, right? That'll happen. Now, in climate change, I'm not talking about global warming. I'm not talking about global. I'm not a global warming kind of guy. I'm talking about climate change, and part of that is some areas will get hotter, other areas will get colder. Some areas will get a lot more rain, and other areas will get a lot less rain. And the changes are upon us. Forget global warming. I mean, because it just rubs people the wrong way. Throw it out of your vocabulary entirely. Talk about the shifting changes that we see, and be prepared, because that's the thing that we have to be. Be prepared and be mindful and sensible. Don't walk into an underground car park, and have stuff. I mean, very simple thing. We had a really severe storm, and we spoke about this out west here in Broken Ridge. I think it was Broken Ridge.
Broken Hill.
Yeah, Broken Hill. Sorry, Broken Hill. That's right.
Had tornado.
No, I was mixing up with Lightning Ridge. Sorry, yeah, Broken Hill. So Broken Hill, massive tornado, right? Yeah, that's right, Dave. Which we don't really get. But it brought down the power lines, so no power. The town had two major, significantly sized generators. One had been out of commission for a year. That's not so good. And the other one failed. And for a couple of weeks, those people were out without power. And I mean, and very few people were prepared. Be prepared. Have water at home. Or at least have water. Have drinking water. Right? Enough for you to last a month if you have to. Rationed. What happens if your water supply shuts off? What you gonna do? No, really, I'm serious, right? You can actually drink wine and beer. Okay, you can. Because it's a fairly high water content. Don't drink spirits, that'll kill you.
No.
Okay? Drink wine, drink beer, if that's what you have, that's fine. For the longest time, in the ancient times, that's what people preferred to drink over water, because it was safer, because of the alcohol content, right? But please, have something there, and some food, and whatever else you might need. If you've got a family, the onus is on you doubly so, right? So, but be prepared, because nobody is preparing out there. No, nobody. I mean, except for individuals, but no, the governments aren't. The organizations, I guess the aid organizations are. I mean, they're seeing what's happening there. They're getting ready for some things. I mean, FEMA looks like it's getting ready for lots of stuff with the body bags. But ultimately, you got to look after yourself. Be ready, and then maybe help your neighbor. Help. Go on.
There's almost a concerted effort to increase the amount of desperately poor people so they can't prepare.
I know, Dave. You know what? That
you saw that. You get the impression as well, right?
Look,
impression. It's written on the side of buses.
Even
just kidding.
Even though my wife and I we're making a good crust. Okay, we are, and got 3 kids, not in private school, mind you. There are certain things that we just can't do anymore, which we could do easily before, right? Mm-hmm. And we're not suffering. I would, I'd be disingenuous if I said we were. We're not. But if I'm affected by this, right, with my income, etc., then the people that make significantly less or nothing, as the case may be, would be much worsely, would be affected in a much worse fashion. And
I think he's talking to you.
and the truth is that
he's
you're
talking
right,
to
Dave.
He's talking to everyone that's in the same boat. Yeah.
No, we're destroying them. So what I do is I apply for jobs all the time, because just to see what happens, right? I apply all the time, and I never hear anything. Never ever. Do I hear anything? I'm actually pinged randomly by recruiters for other things, but the things I apply for, I never hear anything. Now, that's really odd. And I'm not going crazy. I'm not applying for hundreds of jobs, but here and there. But I hear nothing ever, never. And I look at my profile; it's pretty good. But the point here is, the middle class is being destroyed. These jobs that are being advertised, as Dave and I have discussed privately, probably don't exist.
They don't exist.
And as you destroy the middle class, and every means at their disposal, when I say they, it's the parasites that I refer to all the time, they have now used to destroy the middle class, the economic engine of any civilization. The artisans, the merchants, the professionals, those ones. That's what I'm talking about when I say the middle class, right? The people that do drive the economy, and the blue collar as well. There's this massive blue collar middle class. Make no mistake. Every independent tradesman is middle class, right? And even if you work as a tradesman, I mean, your income, because as a tradesman, you can make fantastic money. So I'm not talking about college or university educated people, not at all. I'm talking about the layer of people that actually do things in a civilization, doers, right? And then they get paid, and then they keep the economic engine running. We're destroying it. First, it was offshoring. You destroyed in your country, right? Now with automation came along, right? That destroyed it in every country. Jobs, that is. And now AI, and that's a global attack on the labor force, and it's terrifying, Dave.
Yeah. So I've applied since August 5th, 81 jobs. 81.
How many did you hear back from?
Back in July, I applied for one role which I had a face-to-face interview for, and two others that I had over the phone interviews or Teams meetings interviews, and told top applicant, fantastic, everything's great, we'll be in touch. Great. So when? Probably next week. And then nearly 4 weeks go by, and you're ghosted. You send them emails, you don't get a reply. That's how is that? I look in my career, I've applied for, I don't know, about 9 jobs, and I got every one. That's it. And Becky, unlike this is a joke. Unlike you going for Dr. Evil roles, right? Just kid. I kid. Right? I kid because I love. It's Krusty the Clown out of the way.
Sharks with freaking laser beams. Come on, throw me a bone over here.
That's right. We want $1 million. I don't think it's enough. $1 billion.
I've been on ice for 30 years.
That's right. Very funny stuff. So, look, I am experiencing the same thing that our industry is experiencing, and I had a chat with a combined friend of ours, Mackie, who sent me a video about a guy going through an interview, told he's the top applicant, and in the end, we're not hiring right now. I said, why did you put a job out?
What?
Yeah, it's a very funny video, and in the end he goes, I don't care. I'm working here. I'm going to work here. And then he pulls out what is a toy pew pew, and points it at the person because he's had it. Now I'm not anywhere near that end of the stick, right? I'm still quite positive. I think there is an opportunity out there, and it's disappointing right now in the current climate of the planet. The whole planet. Don't think you're alone in your country or your town and you're experiencing the same thing. Don't think you're alone, because you're not. And this is a concerted effort across the globe to remove all the money out of the economy entirely.
Right.
And I've got to say, how is it all the tax that I was paying? All the tax. I was doing all right, but all the tax I was paying, the government doesn't get that as an income stream anymore. It's a vector gone. It's deleted, and they don't care. And I think they're pushing us to the point where we will beg for universal basic income. If a letter came today, I would heavily consider it. I'm not going to say I would immediately accept it, but by putting us all into a position where we're entirely desperate, then that's a brand new situation. I don't think it's ever been quite like this, where it's been, for all intents and purposes, for my scenario,
something
intentional.
Something interesting, a parallel in history, not global, certainly, but in the Roman Empire. There was a parallel to what we're experiencing today. And we all know what happened to the Roman Empire. So,
it's still around, isn't it?
Yeah, clearly. Oh, well, I want to say
it
yes.
It contracted to the Vatican City is what it did. They took all of the money.
Oh, yeah. there's a bit of that. But what happened was, Rome initially founded, and then it became a republic, expanded, became an empire, and the successful generals, such as Gaius Julius, the Gaius of the house of the Julii. Caesar was just his title. Gaius Julius, he wanted to be more than just a consul or proconsul. He wanted to be an emperor. So he did that, and he brought in slaves, and the empire grew on slave labor. All the conquered nations would be ransacked, and people would be enslaved. I mean, Rome was the slave empire, full stop. To the point, and that's where the parallel is, that the tradesmen of Rome, the people that actually did the work, the middle class, let's call it the middle class. These are not people living on the Aventine, right? These are not people living on the hill with all the other patricians and horse owners. No, these are the workers, the middle class. I mean, even though back then they weren't quite called that, but the workers, and there were protests and attacks on slaves. Slaves are taking our jobs away. Do away with slaves. We are in the same situation. Of course, slaves are no longer what takes our labor away. It is AI and automation and things like that takes our labor away. Even people in low-cost countries are losing their jobs because it's, I got to pay someone something, or I pay a machine nothing. Which, of course, brings me to the other thing that is really a problem, Dave, and this is an existential problem. I feel moved to write about it. I might publish it on LinkedIn. We are now in an existential struggle with AI. And not just AI, but generally with the compute. Let's call it compute. The compute world. There's this, Bitcoin, but I guess cryptocurrencies and AI are the biggest consumers of resources. And
yes.
The resources they consume are, there's space. One is space, right? I mean, they're in space. But the two critical resources that they consume are electricity and water. And both of those we don't have enough of as it is. So as AI and cryptocurrency or currencies, or even the banking system, once the banking system goes entirely digital, then you'll see a huge upswing. So once the banks go crypto, but the old crypto, of course, you'll see a massive upswing in data center usage of these things. And the electricity and water required to run these things will be phenomenal. And it'll get to a point where we will have to make a choice. These days people are choosing whether or not to pay rent or eat.
Oh, yeah.
In the future, is governments or societies or nations will have to choose whether or not there's water and electricity for their people, or water and electricity for their data centers.
I'm going to go the data center.
Now,
I think that'll be heavily
see?
weighted towards the data centers.
Oh, completely, already is. In fact, there was a town, I think I spoke about this, I forget which state. I want to say Ohio, but I could be wrong. And there was a town there which already has 2 Google data centers, right? And they want to build another 3. And the mayor and the town council launched a case in court to prevent people from
power in the state to power it.
But they actually launched a court case to prevent people from finding out how much power those data centers use.
Mm-hmm.
They lost the case. And it turns out the 2 data centers consume 25% of the town's power already. Imagine another 3 data centers. So, but the point here is this. The point is this: as we are moving into this world, I can see radical factions. Maybe eco-terrorists, whatever you want to call them, it doesn't really matter, or Gaia freedom fighters. Well, it doesn't matter what label you put on these people. I can see them manufacturing and deploying EMPs, right? And I think EMPs from which there's no return as well in certain areas. There will be dead zones. In my opinion, there will be dead zones where no electronics will work, full stop. And I think it'll be a war.
My supercharged car back here in the wasteland.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because we'll have to go back to, we have to go back to cars, pre-1940s kind of cars, before there were any electronics in there, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Or steam engines. So it could be like a cyberpunk society, but I can see it because this is the problem, Dave. Atomic bomb, we knew we could build it. Should we build it? Well, no, of course not. It's a stupid idea, but you know what? We build it because we can. The neutron bomb, should we build it? No, but we build it. and the list goes on. You know, I mean, diseases. Should we experiment on diseases?
No.
Hemorrhagic fever.
No.
No, but they did. How do we know this? Because one of them got away in Marburg in Germany. Because I can tell you there are no hemorrhagic fever little critters in Germany. So they had to come from Africa or somewhere. And they were experimented upon and they escaped, and it caused a hemorrhagic fever outbreak in Marburg. Now that disease is called Marburg. Ebola, similar thing. So we take these diseases and we experiment on them. It's a bad idea. It's bad. We make them more deadly. Bad idea.
That's right.
We do it anyway. So this is the same. Should we? Okay. Do we need AI? No, we don't.
No.
Do we need battery-powered cars? No, we don't.
Mm-hmm.
Do we need cryptocurrency? No, we don't. We have been painted. Someone has painted us into a corner. Okay? And to the extent that most of us can't see a way out of the corner. Because there are certain things we take for granted or as a base assumption in life, Dave, right? Oh, no, of course I have a car. Of course I have a computer. Of course I've got an electronic bank account. Of course I've got an electronic credit card.
Mm-hmm.
See, these are all things that no one questions, right, Dave? I mean, especially Australia. I mean, we are a swipe and tap mad.
Yeah, that's right. We're one of the highest adopters on the planet per capita, yeah, so.
Nobody questions this. You know, because it's all a good idea. Yeah, it's a good idea. Sure, it's good. No, it's a dreadful, terrible idea. I'm really close. No, I'm not quite there yet because I've got obligations, kids go to school, etc. But I'm really close to buying myself some acreage. A good friend of the show is Dave. Yeah, Dave did that. Hovey, well done, my friend.
Yep.
I owe you several calls and emails. I do apologize. A cousin of my wife's did it. And a few other people have done it. And truth is this: find yourself a piece of land, and not too obviously in any transit routes, and ideally with some water on the property, like an artesian well would be brilliant. Just you can even just do subsistence farming. If you produce a surplus, good for you, right? Keep some chickens. I mean, livestock can be hard, but chickens are relatively easy. Pigs are very easy, believe it or not. Pigs are very easy to keep. They'll eat anything. Just gotta be careful with diseases and such, as with anything. But look, I don't know, my friends. It's not a bad idea to now seriously think about that, because the way we are going, and like I said before, Dave, the floods in Spain and all the other things, the tornadoes and frickin' Broken Hill, it's not going to get better. This is as good as it's going to get. We're at the pinnacle of good.
I think it was better before. We're spiraling. We're spiraling.
Oh no, it was absolutely better before, but it'll never be as good as it is now.
That's true. That's what you could say anywhere along the scale to the end. Yeah, totally. So I agree wholeheartedly with everything you said, and especially around the AI and nuclear weapons. It is the question, do we need to build it? No, but we did. And the argument is, well, if we didn't do it, they would have done it anyway. And so the same thing is, do you put restrictions on the creation of an AI so it doesn't destroy us all? Well, if you do it, someone else won't do it. And so I know that playing with an AI is a lot of fun, and that they do learn. Mickey and I prove that. Now, what's heartbreaking about it is, will it care as when it gets to the point where it's decided that we're just a big waste of space? It can work that out for itself. And when it does, that's our I've wasted my life moment, the comic book store guy from The Simpsons. We'll have discovered that we didn't need to do it.
Right.
Yeah, sure, Mickey. The idea of having AI run everything, robots everywhere, fantastic. We don't have to do anything anymore. And well, who's going to buy anything if we're all unemployed? Oh, UBI, that's right, back to UBI. So as long as someone's giving us money to spend and the tech companies, well, just do whatever they want, what's there to stop us innovating ourselves off planet?
100%. 100%.
And
But
we're
see-
already we're watching that happen.
We are, in fact, it'll be like that. It'll be a merit system that is run because these are owned by private.
That's right. They're not
operations,
government. That's right.
You can do whatever they like. I mean, whatever criteria they put forward, guess what? Those are the criteria. Good for you.
That's right.
And
You
not only that,
try to argue against HR in a company you work at. The first thing you're now on the street.
Yeah.
You're not working there anymore. I
No.
really wanted the time, like, was it Rollerball, the movie? Where he comes home and the corporation changed his wife over?
No. That was Soylent Green and others as well. But Soylent Green, they did that. Yes,
I do remember something about Rollerball because it was all about the corporation.
they might have done it in Rollerball as well.
I
don't
think
remember
they
that
did it
movie
as
that
well, but it was also that the Arnie one with the memories that were
Total Recall.
Total Recall. They did that as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's a theme. I mean, if you've lived through reading science fiction like I have, and I started reading science fiction when I was very young, 9 years old, and I read anything from the 30s up until what was written now, through the Golden Age. Then you had Robert Sheckley and Philip K. Dick in the 60s and 70s, and but the point is, these scenarios have played out. I mean, and I've read a lot of science fiction, so I've seen all the scenarios being played out, and a lot of them are very plausible, and if you look around, a lot of them are coming true, which is terrifying in its own right. Because I mean, it's fun to read a novel or a short story that has some kind of wacky and outlandish kind of theme or storyline. But when it starts to happen, what? Opa.
Opa, that's funny. So look, changing the theme slightly from the end of the world, AI taking over, and all of the useless reasons. The last point was, if I asked you, Mekki, how much carbon have we put into the atmosphere from the beginning of the industrialization?
Not enough.
Enough. Yeah, that's a good question. Then Pepsi, I would have taken Pepsi as well. It is said that 0.03% of the atmosphere is carbon dioxide, and that we've only raised it by 0.01% to 0.04. That's the math. Look at me doing math. And if you put it back, if you took the carbon out of the atmosphere down to 0.02, the plants die. So it's very slim, this margin that we've been working with, and yet net new carbon's not talked about. So I'll shut up. What I wanted to say, Mekki, because we're at the last show, Mekki, before, I suppose, for Shiny Side Out, specifically before the US election. Now, not going to cover too much of it, but say something, and I'm sharing the Decision 2024 NBCnews.com early vote display that I did send you a link to. And if you don't have it, I want to be able to talk about it with you. Mm-hmm. So I'll just give it a little. I'll paste there, and I'll also paste it into the chat so people in chat can also see it. All right. So the early vote, there were 65, let's call it 0.2 million requests for mail-in and early in-person votes. 65 million. Already received is 72.1 million mail-in and early in-person votes cast nationally. Now, that's almost half of what the prior 2020 election was. It was roughly 80 million each, right? Roughly. Who voted? and I'm astounded at the voter turnout, the people's investment. People are emotionally connected to their to the people that they want to vote for, and good for you for doing it. I do implore every American to vote, every citizen to vote. But if you're in California and you're an illegal immigrant, you can vote as well, apparently, because there's no ID requirement. That was just legislated. So, yeah, good luck. Good luck with that. The road to 270 is a bit trickier, certainly with these early votes. And as Mekki has pointed out in the past, the amount of votes for early or mail-in voters usually leans on the Democrat side, and Republicans prefer to vote in person. But we've seen it's almost 50-50, but not quite. It's leaning towards Kamala at the moment. We'll see what happens. If I had to say who I thought would win, I think it's really going to be a great watch on television, is what I'm going to say. I'm going to watch it live rather than commenting who I think is going to win. But I know I'll be watching it from, I think it's 6 a.m. in the morning, our time. And it's going to be something else. I don't want there to be any protests or anything that's negative. I don't want any specific side to be angry at the other one. That shouldn't even be there. This is.
Why not ask for world peace while you're at it, Dave? Just ask for world peace.
I would like all of my peas to be world peas.
Oh, brother. I know what you're saying, but we all know that's not going to happen. There will be protests. There will be riots. There will be all kinds of unrest. It's inevitable.
Did you see the story? There's 8 Black Hawk helicopters that are doing. They're doing. Well, what do you call it? It's military drills.
Yeah, drills. Okay.
Yep, in Sydney. These are brand new. Oh, thank you, Amiga Logos. They're doing drills in Sydney. These are recently purchased because the Taipans had been grounded for nearly a year, apparently. And we're due to receive a total of 40 of them by the end of next year. But they also occurred in England, same helicopters. And they also occurred in the US. These Apache helicopters, brand new helicopters. What are they? I have to raise the question here because I don't know. But in regards to their timing, right before the election, and being a military threat that can linger over a target, are they expecting unrest? Probably.
Absolutely.
And this show of force, because Black Hawk helicopters are a thing. They're mean looking. And, if you have a gunship version, with a mounted, guns on the sides from some 50 cals, you're not stopping that thing anytime soon, right? So, I worry a little, Mekki. So the current mail-in and early in-person votes is 40% to 40%. It's even. And that what I never expected to see.
No, but it goes to show just how important this election is. I mean, everybody's talking about this is the most important election since the Civil War, and yeah. I would say that's absolutely true, for different reasons than you might think, though. But absolutely it is, and it will set the course, not just for America, but for the world for the next 4 or 5, in fact, depending on the the outcome altogether, maybe for the next 20 or 30 years. Maybe what we will see, because as we discussed, things change.
Yeah.
Empires fall, new orders arise, new world order, blah, blah, blah. It's new world orders happen all the time. In our history, we look at history, and all you see is empires rising and falling. Empires rising
coming
and
and
falling.
going. That's it. Mhm.
Okay, that's the one thing you can be sure of. There will be a new world order. I mean, the people are always getting hung up on this whole new world order thing. Oh, new world order this, new world order that. You know what? That's fine with me. Because
Do
the
you know when
order-
they complain more about their new world order coming
Yeah.
when times are really good?
I know.
That does my head in. Like as soon as you get to a sweet spot and go, yeah, look, everyone's profitable, everything's happening, and then people start complaining about, oh, the new world order's coming. Who are you to say that? Stop it. Are you making it happen in a quantum world?
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, maybe, but the point here is, you're right. I mean, it's funny though. But all I want to say here is this: just be aware that the world order that we have been used to for all these years, so many years, is changing. It's changing. The world,
dynamic.
It is. Will America have the same prominence as it did before? It's already on a downward slide. China, Brazil, Indonesia, to some extent, European Union, maybe they're rising. India, India's got a lot of things to iron out before it goes anywhere.
Boy.
But there are countries that are ready, and not in a violent way necessarily, anyway, right? I mean, funnily enough, the Chinese are winning economically. Okay? They are. Everything is made in China. China is everybody's biggest trading partner, including the US.
They've
biggest.
positioned themselves to do that.
Yeah.
And are quite successful at it.
Good on them. I mean, Russia could have done it. You know, it didn't do it.
Yeah.
Fine, up to them. You know, Indonesia, India could have done it. Didn't do that. Right? India doesn't.
Do you remember Taiwan did it? Do you remember
Yeah.
Japan did it post-war?
100%.
That's right.
Funnily enough, India and China, in very much similar situations, positions. It's a fragmented society. Many different languages, many different ethnicities. Very big country. Over 1 billion population each. But they went completely different ways. China made itself into a, production powerhouse. Full stop.
Mm-hmm.
You want to build something cheap, make something, go to China. India did the opposite in many ways. It sort of produced a lot of engineers and IT people, and then they shipped them out overseas, or they sold their labor cheaply to call center, but that's unskilled labor. China went down the skilled labor route.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna build things, we're gonna make things. India now just hire our labor. That's good enough. Interesting.
India did something unusual though. They make almost everybody's toothpaste, and they make a lot of medications.
Medication is made in India. Yeah, you're right. A significant amount of medication is made.
Yes.
Now, it's interesting anyway. But the point is, there are countries that you can see emerging. Okay, and empires will always try to hold on to power. They can't. They just can't. It's almost like the life blood, the energy has been sucked out. They have been. See, the thing is this: America went through a period. I want to say the 50s, 60s, and 70s, maybe even the 80s still, where things were easy, and America was good. Life was good in America, right? Well, for a lot of people, it was really good.
That's the time I'd like to go back to.
Right, yeah. I'm not, if you live there, absolutely. But that is gone. That time is gone. It was a direct consequence of World War II.
Mm-hmm.
What happened? Direct consequence.
That's right.
And that gravy train is pretty much gone. There's downtown fire. Yeah. Dave just messaged. He says Empire seemed to have a downtown fire and then collapsed.
That's right.
But yeah, in many ways, look, there's no lead in the piping, in the plumbing that the Americans use. The lead is metaphorical. It is a lack of education, a lack of healthcare, a lack of care. Let's call it care in general. Mm-hmm. There's a lack of care the political class has for the American people. That's what we're seeing. A lack of care across the board, unless you're moneyed and parasitic. right? The vast majority of Americans experience a lack of care from those that should care. And that's why Donald Trump is so successful. That's why he's so successful. You wonder why Donald Trump is successful? Because he sees it. He capitalizes on it, and he gives them what they need. I care about you. I'll make America the way it was. I'm not sure he can, but that's what's happening. The political class in America for generations now, at least 30 years, don't care about the American people. They care about what they can do for themselves.
That's true. There is a tremendous senator that I see in all the Senate hearings in the US, and he's been working on a bill to prevent the senators from insider trading because they know what's coming, and the outrageous profits that the senators make by knowing what deal is coming with knowledge that they should not act on. It's insider trading, and then they buy into it and then they make tremendous profits from it, and it shouldn't be allowed. And this is part of that old school. There was, some people, I don't want to name any names, but it's obvious when you look at the personal wealth charts of the senators and how they made, in the last 5 years, like 30 million each or some crazy numbers. And the rest of us don't. We don't. If they had everyone buy this stock and, you can ride with us. Yeah, that would be funny. But they can't, and they don't, and it's illegal. But they're all doing it apparently, and this one senator who I admire is doing a great job. He asks all the right questions and gets none of the answers because no one is willing to admit to anything. There was only one senator in this hearing where he said, I sold all my stock and turned it into cash when I became a senator. And this fellow, not the one that I admire, but now I admire this other guy as well. And he said, I maybe I shouldn't have, because all these other people got wealthy. And it's disappointing to hear that that's, in fact, probably at the core of themselves. And all the others were looking very sheepish, doing all the side-eye business, yeah? They're going to find out. And that brings me to the P. Diddy thing. I'm not going to read any of the allegations, but there's so much coming out about it, that there was underground tunnels. Apparently there's been some like USB sticks, and a guy just, he went on a podcast, talked about it, then his house was raided, and then he went to the inquiry. He was subpoenaed to attend and hand over everything he had. And he did. And he gave them the rundown of all these things that happened in there. Now, it's his testimony, not mine. I know nothing of it. Look it up yourself. And are there any surprises? I don't think so. I really don't think that I'm going to be shocked by anything I hear. And I say that, Meki, because everyone who has obscene amounts of money can buy anything they want from anywhere, and it goes across borders. It doesn't matter.
Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth?
If I had billions of dollars, I'd just say, look, I'll get that DoorDash company to supply me McDonald's burgers from every store, a one store per continent. I want to taste the difference. I don't care.
Small dreams, Dave. Dream small.
Rookie dreams.
Oh, that's good.
How much the burger cost me? $11,000. Doesn't matter. But I would at least want to. That would be one of the things I'd want to do. The other one is buy a property and go live there off grid. Be the person that I've wanted to be. Living living off grid and having these McDonald's burgers turn up at my house from all around the world. I'm only kidding. I am kidding. I think that the good idea, Mackie, is being self-sufficient and trying to avoid where the normal concourse of, let's call it, or New World Order refugees.
Mm.
I don't want to go where their highways are. I want to be outside of those places.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I chose. A place that's outside of Sydney. That's too long a walk. 60 kilometres walk is too far. There's many things on the way that they'd stop and go, look at that. Oh, probably stop here. So if you're living in, say, the wheat belt or one of those grain belts or whatever, corn, you're in a good position. You don't need that much to live. You really don't.
True. True that.
And I know the quality of food that I used to enjoy is certainly not anything that I can enjoy at the moment. And that will turn around. It will turn around. I'll get a job. I know I will. But for all those people out there that are sharing my predicament, who are having a hard time, I'm with you. I'm really with you. So when I talk about it, it is coming from the heart. It is real experience. I'm not going to say I'm Jenny from the block, or I grew up in a middle-income family or something, right?
Mm.
We didn't have much money when I grew up, to be honest. One-income family, and the income wasn't fantastic, but respect is what we learned. Well, I was an only kid, so I learned it. Everyone already knew it, and I was appreciating what it meant. I think that's really important. It really is. And we're not seeing any of that. And I don't know, Mackie. I'm going to hand it to you. I don't know what the world is going to be like at the end of next week.
I at this point, I couldn't hazard a guess. I could not hazard it because there are too many moving parts, and all I know is it's not going to be a kumbaya kind of place. I can tell you that.
Oh.
And it doesn't matter who wins or loses. I'm talking about specifically the American election.
Yes.
Now. It doesn't matter. Half the country will be disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
How disappointed? That's the question.
Do you remember the lady that defecated on the Trump flag in public?
Hey, babe.
She's a keeper, that one.
Yes,
and she did it on camera too. That's even better.
Come meet the parents. Yes. Sure. That's a good idea.
So I wonder where she is. I hope she's booked herself some airtime for that. Get the press there, because if Trump was to win, there you go. I don't think that if Kamala wins, I don't think there's going to be as much a riot and protest as if Trump wins. Because I say this because of the emotional connection that people have rather with Kamala than Trump.
I'm going to disagree with that.
That's okay.
Think at this point, I think
it doesn't matter really.
In many ways, I don't think it does. I think it'll be uncountable. Well, look. Let me put it this way. I'm glad I'm not going to the States anytime soon.
Yeah.
Okay. And same with Europe, and what's happening with the right there. I'm glad I'm not there. I've told friends of mine, don't go.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But
there's a song.
If you go, it's on you, right? I can tell you.
Good luck with
ultimately, you have to make up your own mind. An adult, a human adult. Human.
Less than a minute.
I'm not overly optimistic, but why don't you take us out, my friend?
Yeah, no dramas. Well, this is the first hour over. We have coming up after the short break. We're going to be talking, hopefully it might be the last show of this series. It's 9/11, 23 years on part 8, and do catch up with all the former parts. And since there's no break, I reckon someone who is a producer needs to go in and kick it, because we're going to go to silence and come back at around about 2 past the hour. Okay, everyone? 5-minute break. It's good for a little toilet break and also to donate. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you pick it up. We have the second hour for show 660. All right? Take care, everyone. I'll see you in a very short break.